Hi there, skincare people. You know, I have to confess, I'm hearing voices in my head and they are saying that anti-aging just got too old. And there is another way, and we need together to talk about it, because instead of fighting age in skincare, you should be much more studying skin biology and understanding that healthy aging is much more interesting than anti-aging.
Oh!
So welcome to my channel, welcome to theagetraveller. My name is Custodio. I work in the skincare industry for the past 30 years of my 50 years. I always say this, and today more than ever, because we are addressing and facing eyes to eyes the concept of anti-aging. This channel is meant to be thought-provocative. You've Been Fooled is always trying to shake ideas and see if they stand. Sometimes it's ideas that you've been fooled by others. Other times it's ideas that we tend to fool ourselves. Here we always try to find solutions and practical ways to overcome some of those you've been fooled ideas. So today I'm going to answer at the same time questions related to my last two videos, which those questions made me feel that it's good to go a little bit more practical. So the main video I'm talking about, I will link it here. It's about inflammation and this chronic fire within our skin, which can make a lot of damages and create a lot of pro-aging factors. So that's why we talk today about healthy aging. And there is no healthy aging, because aging being a natural process, there is no way to have it in a healthy way without understanding the concept of chronic silent inflammation. What the triggers are, what causes that inflammation, coming from lifestyle, triggers coming from even skincare, wrongdoing steps. Let's begin with lifestyle. And those are the hardest to solve because some of them are just rooted in bad habits. Number one, UV exposure, lack of SPF which is not properly applied, which is not properly layered. I have already created some videos which address this topic. I will link the main one here and you can also check that afterwards. But anything related to sun exposure, it's one, and I always precise that it's not only sun exposure in the sense of going to the seaside or going to the mountains. It's daylight, it's urban daylight exposure. That's number one. Number two, the trigger could be sleep, lack of sleep, because it's mostly during the sleep time that our skin handles and tries to cool down all those inflammatory chain reactions. Just because biological, the circadian rhythm, this is a huge thing. So if you're not familiar with what circadian rhythm means, this is something you should spend your time studying a little bit. I will link below on the description box some useful links to better understand what it means. But it means basically that we have these two hormones which are like a scale. We have the melatonin, which is related to sleep, falling asleep and staying asleep. And we have cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which is related to being awake. And if this balance is not properly equalized, this rhythm will be disrupted. And all the chain inflammatory reactions will simply be multiplied, and those that could be solved will not be solved. And when it comes to skin, we have a terrible phenomena which is called glycation. And glycation, it's one of the key pro-inflammatory situations in the skin as well. Glycation is very simple to understand, just because sugar, glycose, glycation, glycose, sugar tends to attach molecularly to proteins. So most of our skin density, elasticity, it's relying on proteins, collagen being the better known, elastin and others. And the sugar, when trapped attach to those molecules which are supposed to be elastic and are supposed not to be stiff, because if they are stiff they break down. So that's what glycation means. You can see glycation happening in your kitchen if you want. When you do just with the eggs white and you beat them and they become like a fluffy cloud, if you don't add the sugar to do your meringue, those clouds will just come back to liquid after a while. So all those air bubbles which are trapped in the eggs white will burst and the eggs white will become liquid again. But if you have added the sugar to do your beautiful pavlova, whatever you are doing, you know that that mix becomes stiff and will not so easily come back to liquid form due to the addition of the sugar. Glycation. You're just seeing glycation in front of you. So now imagine that that's happening inside your skin. So very important message. Of course, there are skincare ingredients. We will do videos specifically about what ingredients can help with glycation. But of course, as we are skincare people, we are big dreamers in terms of all these eternal youth, our secrets, our potions and weapons. Most of the questions I got about chronic silent inflammation is whether some skincare products can themselves be wrongdoing and pro-inflammatory. So I'll just mention a few products or a few product categories which I believe might not be so helpful. One, in my opinion, is clearly mechanical exfoliation. So all products that go under the name of scrubs and exfoliators which are based on grains, abrasive grains. Of course, there are different levels, so there are some which are very soft. I still don't do them. I still don't think they are helpful. I don't see the point nowadays. I could understand in the 80s when the AHA and the BHA were not yet known to a wider audience in retail products. But nowadays, with so many options, so many levels of intensity and activity, I don't really see the point for mechanical scrubs. So I probably don't do a mechanical scrub for more than 20 years. Maybe one of these days I will try one just to see if something really exciting happened in these 20 years. But to me, it's a product category I very much stay away from and I don't promote personally. Secondly, some peel-off masks rely also on ingredients which are not exactly your best friends. So I'm not talking about all peel-offs. So I draw a line, check in your ingredient list. If you have something which is peel-off as a mask, if it's alginates, anything coming from seaweed, from algae, those are basically moisturizers and they are very soft with the skin. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about one key ingredient which is called vinyl or polyvinyl alcohol, which is basically vinyl. Do you remember? No, you don't, because you are younger than me. But if you are my age, you remember when records and music will be these vinyl records. And one last one, which is not exactly a skincare product or an ingredient, it's a concept. The concepts of steaming and icing. I detest both. I know that sometimes under the hands of a professional beautician, you can do some steaming if you need to do some extraction of blocked pores, oil. That's a different scenario. I'm talking about self-inflicted steaming and icing. So steaming meaning anything which is boiling water and vapor to open up the pores, icing being ice cubes literally, or anything which is ice cold to then tighten and close those pores. That's very pro-inflammatory. My book, to switch immediately from one extreme to another, it's totally wrong for skin. It's okay if we move from an environment which is warmer inside and colder outside, but you know that your skin reacts to that. You know that you have a temporary flush. You can get your skin red, you can feel tight, something in your skin is not enjoying those temperature very drastic changes. So to inflict that on a regular basis with whatever water, steam and ice cubes, and I'm sorry to say, I think it's depressing, I think it's boring skincare. That's exactly what I consider the most boring skincare. Things which are too much DIY, things which are too much involving the kitchen. I'm sorry. That's a personal point of view. I'm so in love with skin biology, ingredients, and exciting formulations that I don't think DIY brings that much. Do it yourself doesn't bring anything that good. But maybe I'm grumpy, I'm just in bad mood. But I told you in the beginning, I woke up listening to voices in my head, and those voices were saying several things. They were saying we should talk more about healthy aging instead of anti-aging. I just did. Those voices also told me that I should remind you to like this video if you do, and to come back to the channel if you think that's fair. So I just said it again. And as always, also to close saying that you should again and again say no to boring skincare. See you next week. Ciao. And one last minute between the two of us, just to remind you that I would much appreciate if you'd subscribe the channel, activate the bell so that you can be reminded every time there is a new video. Like the video, send more questions. And talking about questions, there was a lady who wrote me because in the video I was talking about masks, protection masks, not skincare masks. She was saying that I said that we should style up our masks, fashion up our masks, and if I knew any mask manufacturer, so I did a little bit my research, and I found this beautiful brand from Paris called Paul and Joe, which has these masks, which I will just exemplify. And you see that nothing is again the same when you go out with such a mask.